The United Nations is demanding an independent international investigation into what caused the crash of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17. All 298 people on board were killed. Ukraine and Russia are trading accusations as investigators search for answers. Was this an act of terrorism or a horrific accident? And what do accusations of terrorism do to the stability in the region? And how does it impact the dynamics between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States? Hello, everyone. I'm Asiye Namdar in for Anna Naidu in Washington, D.C., and this is The Heat. U.S. President Barack Obama says there needs to be a credible international investigation into the crash. Ukraine's President Petro Poroshenko has called the crash, quote, act of terrorism and accused Russia of being behind it. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he blames Ukraine, saying the crash would not have happened if Kiev had not resumed a military campaign against rebels in the east. To get the latest on this developing story, I'm joined by CCTV's Roee Ruttenberg, who is in Kiev with more. Roee, what's the status of the investigation? Has the crash site been secured?
Well, the crash site was one of the difficulties in this entire incident. Experts say that investigating a crash like this is difficult on its own. Investigating a crash like this in the middle of a war zone adds incredible difficulties to that already difficult situation. Now, the area that surrounds Donetsk to the east also is within the area that is currently being held by the separatists, and they have indicated on a number of occasions that they will not let Ukrainian officials access the site. This is a turf war, and they're trying to show that they are an autonomous, independent state. They are a sovereign power, and they will be responsible for this investigation. We saw some cooperation, the fact that they said that they will send the bodies that are recovered to the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv in the east, saying they do not have the capacity to store them in the Donetsk People's Republic. That's the so-called republic there that they've created. But other than that, we've seen very little cooperation. We know that OSCE officials were heading that way on Friday night. They said that they were under the impression that they were going to get access, but they said they were met there by armed guards who didn't let them in. They say they're going to try again on Saturday. But we have heard reports by Ukrainian officials accusing those in the east, those separatists, of clearing the area of all of the evidence, and some discrepancies over what may have happened to those black boxes.
Roee, what are you learning as far as who was on this plane? It seems Netherlands suffered the biggest blow.
Indeed, a lot of those reports now coming out indicating that 184 of those passengers, well more than half, were Dutch nationals. Other nationals were on board as well, Australians, Malaysians. We understand there was one American dual national as well, around 9 or 10 Britons, about 3 infants, we understand. And this, of course, comes at a very difficult time for Malaysian Airlines as well. You'll recall that they had that crash about 4 months ago in Australia, where a lot of the passengers there were both Malaysians and Australians. And we understand that more than 100 of the people flying on Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 were members of the international HIV/AIDS research world, that they were flying to attend an international conference in Australia. No doubt many people at the conference expecting them, now mourning their loss, and among them was a man who was considered the Netherlands' most prominent HIV/AIDS researcher for the last 30 years. So that, of course, is a difficult blow to that community.
And what is Ukraine saying as far as who should lead this investigation?
Ukraine believes this is a sovereign territory of Ukraine, and they should be in charge. That's, of course, difficult as they now are encountering the standoff, the continued standoff with those separatists in the east. And we've also heard growing accusations here in Ukraine that not only did the pro-Russian separatists fire what they call a buck missile at that plane, but that they may have been supported not just by support from Russia, perhaps even the Russian military, but by Russian government officials themselves. Very strong accusations coming not just from here, but also from the Ukrainian representative to the United Nations. Ukraine's interior minister and security chief releasing audio on Friday that they say proves that a Buck missile system was transported over the Russian border into Ukrainian soil in the hands of the separatists. And on top of that, the separatists claim in an audio recording that they are aware that they shot down a passenger plane and that Russian nationals crossed the border into Ukraine to operate that Buk missile system. Now, of course, these are very strong accusations. Russia is denying it. And on Friday night, Vladimir Putin urged both the separatists and the government in Kiev to cooperate in peace talks.
All right, thank you so much, Roee Ruttenberg in Kiev.